Hello, everybody. Welcome to Conservatish episode 103. You can find my album right now, Peter Feliciano, self-titled, on iTunes, Spotify, CD Baby, Amazon, Google Play, wherever you listen to music, you'll find my weird face. Go download the album, go share it with your friends, or stream it on Spotify or wherever. And find me on Instagram at Peter_Feliciano. And that's all I want to promote. Yeah. For now. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed friend of the show and my friend, who I love very much,
Thanks.
Dave Walsh.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Yes.
Hello.
Oh, are you on?
Hello. Yeah. Hello.
Yes, you are on. Okay.
I'm on now.
Okay. My mistake. Hi, Dave.
Hi. How are you?
Besides the conversation we were having before the show, I feel pretty good.
Is this thing on?
Yeah.
It is.
How am I? I feel great. I was feeling great, and then as soon as I walked in, I was like, I got to talk to him about that. Damn it.
It was a good talk.
It's good that people love me because
Definitely watch the last episode.
No.
With his brother Will.
Actually, Pollo Del Mar is going to be in between Will and you.
Oh yes, that's true.
So that's a good
That's
episode.
true. That's true.
We talk about mostly
They're all good
drag
episodes.
and yeah. Thank you.
They're all fantastic.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
People really love yours. I think actually in ranks of popularity, it's my dad and then Dave Walsh.
Your
number
dad's
one.
awesome.
Yeah, my
It
dad
was
is
so fantastic to have him
at the show.
but to those arrangements he threw together, masterful.
Isn't it great?
It was so good. It was so amazing. It was.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. And I've talked about it on
too.
the show. I know, right? I talked about it on the show, but that idea that it's cool and it's kitschy and it's kind of a novelty to have. Isn't it special to have my dad on? Shifted as soon as I heard. I mean, I knew he was amazing, but as soon as I heard his ideas for those two songs, I was like, I'm way underpaying him for what he's
he's paid.
providing.
He's paid plenty. I've met your brothers.
I know. But you didn't even meet the last one. There's there's four brothers, four people.
That's true. I have
four boys.
I have not met
that my parents had to deal with. God bless their hearts.
Good on them. They're still chugging away.
Yeah. And it was great at the show to have my brothers there and have them play with me.
Yeah, they had so much fun.
There should be video coming soon.
Good.
Christian Hernandez from Ardent Imagery, shout out.
Ardent Imagery.
He did the video for. Good news for this too, by the way. So obviously he did
the video for That's Why You Got Haters
is the one
to be
he's
clear.
talking about. Yes. But also he did video for the show, and he's going to do a video with my dad.
What?
And I saw some of the screenshots. Like my dad did this great storyboard for it because he's a salsa musician, and he came out with an album, Celebrando, by the Latin Rhythm Boys. Amazing music, and so Christian is going to do the video for it.
I am
Isn't that great?
so overjoyed to hear that.
Yeah.
Christian is amazing.
He's
and
great.
So professional and
Right.
so easy to work with.
Right.
And he's super chill and he's super funny and witty. But it's like, but he holds back from the witty because professional, but then he's witty and you're like, how are you juggling all of this awesome all at once? And then he created that amazing video for you.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
He is. Yeah. And I didn't even come at him with a storyboard at all. I was just like, I have a couple of ideas. And you know me, I like flying by the seat of my pants. And so, he was able to jump in without and he had worked with me a couple of times doing he was the guy who took pictures for the album as well and for the podcast. But he was able to flow with me, and then even the first draft that he came to me with that he sent me, I was like, unbelievable. I was like, I'm so glad that not only do I have this easygoing professional guy, but his mind for video is really sharp, and and he's a very creative guy.
Yes, yeah. Indeed.
How are you doing?
I am doing well.
Good.
I'm watching the world spin into chaos.
In what way?
In a beautiful way.
Okay.
Sure. I think a lot of everybody's fears and anxieties and stressors that have been around for generations is finally having a light shine upon it so that we can finally contend with it in more mindful fashions. And it's a process. We're going through a process, and it takes time. But I do have faith in humanity to get its fucking shit together.
Right. I heard, and I feel very much like this.
It's a professional term.
You know very deeply about some of the conversations we've had and growth experiences that you and I have had. But I feel like we're kind of going, spiritual surgery is happening.
Yes.
Like we're cutting away stuff that doesn't work. Unfortunately, we're alive at the time, or we're awake at the time. There's no anesthesia.
Yes.
We're just awake while it's happening.
Yeah, I can hear the screaming at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God. Don't make me.
I can feel the trauma.
Don't make me talk about the things that you didn't want to talk about on the last episode, but I definitely have paid a lot more attention because for years, like, you would be like the only hippie friend, and because you and I at least could make fun of it, or I could say dick jokes and it would be right next to the spiritual love.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hippies also have them.
Okay, but
I'm not hippie. I'm not a hippie.
I think you're funnier than any of the hippies that I know.
Well, that's true. Yeah. God, they're dull.
Yeah, dude, they are.
You know what's funny? Lighten up.
Thank you.
Is a great thing to say to hippies.
Especially because I would figure from people who are so interested in light and so interested in, hey, man, whatever, that often they take themselves wildly seriously.
Okay, so to be very careful, not all hippies do that.
I know.
Not all.
Some of them are Charles Manson hippies.
That's more cultish, but sure. Just to be clear. But yes, I don't prescribe to, nor do I even trust individuals who, say, for example, walk around with a smile on their face all day long. I don't trust that. I don't believe that they are fully present. I don't think that they are taking in everything that's going on around them and in the world in general. I think people like to hide in their upper chakras, where it's all light and sweet and colors and rainbows and unicorns farting more unicorns or whatever. But the real work is deeper, and it's in those darker places that most people like to tuck away,
right,
and avoid, and try and stay in those upper chakra areas and just pretend that everything's okay and ignore the rest. It's the stuff that we're ignoring that right now on a global level is coming up for us to see more clearly.
Do you feel like it's because they're trying to talk themselves into feeling better?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. In that conversation, absolutely.
Without having to go through it. That old tripe thing of like the only way through is through. They're trying to just subvert that and just go around and
they would rather get to and there's no destination. Like, this is all a process.
Right.
Like, we'll all be back again doing this some more. So hang on to your seats, kiddos. But yes, I think people just would rather be seen as being in the lifestyle, and therefore the accoutrement and the stuff they're wearing and whatever that expresses, I've got the whole look and whatever, so I must be doing my work. And a lot of them, I know quite a few that claim to be doing their personal growth work. Oh, I'm doing the work. Oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. But I kind of check in on their energies on an intuitive level, and those parts of them are saying, no, they're really not. Actually, they're avoiding the real work, and the real work is it's hard and it's tough and it's gritty and it can be a very solitary process, but it's also the most rewarding too.
Above all, it feels tedious. I think. Obviously, it's difficult, but there doesn't seem to be a light, a quote unquote, a light at the end of the tunnel. Because I feel like this is a human thing. Because on the other side of the work, there doesn't seem to be an end. A piece of me just feels like, all right, well then fuck it. I don't even want to. I just want to eat a pizza and smoke cigarettes and I just want to check out. But the thing is a couple of things. Number one, when I look at people who have checked out and aren't doing any work, I certainly do not want their lives. Okay, that's number one. And number two, it's too late already. I'm too neurotic. Analyzing and I'm going to say something nice about myself, so cover your ears. I'm too smart and caring to actually put a bullet in and just check out and do the Top Gun, pull the whatever the seat that
something
to really do that all the way. But I wish I could get away with it. I was just talking with someone last night, and I was like,
I think you just summed up humanity. I wish I could get away with it.
I wish I could get away with it.
Sure.
Like when I look at people, when I look at dudes especially, there are dudes who seem to be able to just do construction, and they're simple. I just want a sandwich and sex and watching my shows and da-da-da, and like they're simple. I just wasn't built that way. I'm not a simple. I'm too much. I think in a lot of I'm a deep, intense person. You know what I mean? And so you ever been so crazy you looked at a cat and felt jealous?
Oh, cats? Absolutely.
They God! No taxes, no job. They just
if
walk
I could
around.
lick myself anywhere, I'd never leave the house.
Perfect.
Oh, so jealous.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's. I wish, you know what I mean. Where I know it's too late for me, but I want to dip my toe in that world and know what it would feel like. I know I would still come back here anyway and be Mr. fucking like, but still.
Yeah. Well, once you take one of those pills, man, you can't really go back.
When did it start for you? I mean, was it that, because we talked about it on the last show, was it when you started feeling and noticing energies or spirits or whatever you want to call it, was it too late for you then? Did you already realize you were born with the red pill, or what was it for you?
No, that was just a part of everyday life for me, and for a while, just sensing energies around me, and that was just normal until I realized that it wasn't normal for everyone else, and then that's when I started asking questions. That's when I started wondering, and what else was all out there.
And was there shame involved in that, or embarrassment that you were different?
Not from me at all, but from other people in my inner circle. That was a concern for them that I was asking questions.
But you didn't internalize it? You didn't take it and go like, you know what, I'm bad, I better change.
I never thought that the awareness of energies or the awareness of things that are different that other people don't seem to also pick up on, I never felt bad about it. It was always it felt familiar, it felt safe, it felt comfortable. It was never manipulative. It was never dominating in any way, shape, or form. So I knew that was a part of who I was. But it was other people's opinions and fears and worries about what other people would think about these questions, these things that I was seeing or feeling or whatever, that put a huge kibosh on my ability to explore that. And it was years and years and years and years until my young adult life that I started to question it again, because it was always there. It was subdued consciously on my side.
Consciously, for sure.
I consciously
subdued or hidden.
Put it down. I tried to hide it from myself, but it remained subdued because it just is. I mean, there's our ordinary reality, and then there are other layers of reality on top of ours, and then there's a bigger picture above and beyond that. There is so much more going on within us and around us on this planet and other planets and other galaxies. And we are all part of that. We are still in a very young stage of growth, human evolution in general. There's a lot more out there going on. And that's hard to fathom when an individual has trouble even wrapping their brain around what ordinary reality is or who they are. You don't want more to think about or work on. You can't wrap your brain around a larger picture when when you're having issues, even accepting or acknowledging what's going on in front of your face.
It's hard to see where they're connected. It's hard to feel like, I mean, especially with this move, it's like my brain is much more busy with like, okay, what do I do? How do I organize? Okay, now I have to drive out here and say goodbye to these people, and now I have to go out here and say goodbye to these people. I have to reject people who I can't see. I have to do all this stuff. Oh, and by the way, I'm also working on self-acceptance and self-love, and it's a huge undertaking. It's like deep excavation. I hate it. This is bullshit. I don't want to do. It's just like, can I have like one thing happening, one giant life change? Do I have to have the whole thing sliding around? This is bullshit.
At least you know what's happening, and it's in front of you, and you can observe it. People who avoid stuff, their own stuff, they're going to get overwhelmed. They're going to get overwhelmed by the things that they're avoiding and hiding from. Yeah. And the opportunity to learn about those things that you're hiding from
anyway
is going to keep happening. There are going to be synchronicities in your life where things just keep happening. And some people say, why do these bad things keep happening to me? If they were willing, even for a moment, to flip the script and say, instead of why is this happening to me, what can I learn from this experience? Because that's the first tool you learn, is questioning things without using the word why. Why is victimizing yourself.
Right.
Why is this happening to me? Why don't I have anything nice? Why doesn't anyone love me?
Right.
What part of me am I not loving? What part of me feels unloved? If you start asking mindful questions, non-judgmental questions, you will start getting answers, not just from the world outside of you, the universe trying to help you learn. You will start hearing your intuition a little bit more loudly, and it is a practice. It's like a muscle that you haven't stretched or worked out, but the intuition is a beautiful practice of starting to listen to yourself, because you have all the wisdom that you need and then some within you to figure yourself out and figure out what's happening and why. And how to catch yourself in the triggers of those negative circumstances happening again, and start changing things in your life towards a more beautiful, compassionate.
When you, I wanted to ask, what percentage do you feel like you're because you said you tamped it down, you subdued it, it's there already. You started exploring what, 20, 21?
Yeah, it was probably my early 20s when I came to a point where I was simply sick and tired of feeling sick and tired about it. Yeah.
Now, I wanted to say, well, like, what percentage would you say you're unsubdued now? But that would mean that there's a 100%, which means there's an end to it. So, how do you measure
That's a
growth?
human notion.
Right.
Yeah.
What would you say, is it healthy to measure your growth in that way for you personally? Do you feel like you have measured or you can quantify, okay, I've gone from this marker to this marker? Or is it more like, okay, I don't do that anymore, that's good. Or, ooh, here's this new thing. Do you feel like it's...
Sure.
Do you make a chart, a graph? What do you do?
Oh, I love pie graphs. Pie charts and flow charts and stuff. No. If I were to quantify it in a numeric value, that would be a judgment.
Right. Which is fun.
So this is what I have found. Acknowledge yourself along the path. Don't worry about where you're trying to get to, because honestly, there's no way to quantify actually where that destination lies.
Even or especially if you slide back.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the best ways I can explain it is, imagine that you are climbing a mountain and you're just looking at the top of that mountain, and it's going to take forever to get there, but you want to get to that summit. It's not about getting to the summit, because when you get up there, beautiful view, yeah, but you're done, right? But climbing that mountain is going to build confidence and discipline and focus and respect for yourself and trust in yourself, and that next handhold, like, you have to trust yourself. But the most important thing along that climb is every single plateau you come to, stop, see where your breath is, turn around and look how far you've come. Acknowledge yourself, celebrate yourself. And when you're ready, you turn around and you look at that next climb to the next plateau, and you're going to be empowered from what you've seen you've overcome to what you can now accomplish. Right. And in that metaphor, life doesn't get easier, but the challenges are more available to overcome or understand in life when you celebrate yourself. And you are empowering yourself in that way.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. What I also was, I mean, I think I'm part of me is, yes, it makes sense, but part of me wants to pass over it quickly, because it's just so much right now, and I just don't want to.
It is a lot. It is a lot, and you're absolutely allowed to have that opinion.
Maybe it's just a lot right now for me, because it's just so much, and it's like, okay, all right, and I've gotten better at it. But I think now, part of my
you've done a phenomenal job. I love watching you grow. I do. I've known you for years, and I have seen shifts and changes in you.
Thank you.
And I've known people longer than I've known you, and I haven't seen shifts and changes, because they are spending just as much energy avoiding as they could be challenging themselves to grow and thrive and expand.
Right.
And that's frustrating for me. It's not my job to fix them. It's their responsibility. But it's such a joy and a pleasure for me to be able to hold space for people. Someone like you who is willing to ask those tougher questions and be willing to receive the truth, regardless of whether it's a truth or not that you really want to hear.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I may have talked to you about this before, but I think to get real fucking hippie with it. This is like,
I love how much you're using that term now.
Because
it's freaking hilarious.
It's still, there's still a rebellion in my bones to just like, I don't want to take the motherfucking Kool-Aid.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because I'm too, I'm always looking for the okay, if everyone's thinking this, I want to go the opposite direction. So that, I think that kind of ties into it. And and also partially because this podcast is so different. Every episode,
it is.
You know what I mean?
Fantastic.
I've had Trump supporters,
really
and we just talk about Trump all day. And then I've had Pollo Del Mar was on the last one where we just talk about drag and characters, and it's hilarious and dick jokes and all kinds of fun. And then now this one so far, and I'm not judging. Yes, exactly. And I'm not judging. I'm just saying it's interesting, and I hope that people are on board. You know what I mean? Like it's not good to judge, like to go into a podcast or go into an artistic endeavor feeling like, oh, I hope people get it. But I kind of motherfucking do, because that's what's in my fucking spirit, is to be somebody who shares, who transfers the emotion, someone who holds up a mirror or whatever you want to call it.
You do hold up a mirror.
I want
to society and culture
to jump in the goddamn in the boat with me. You know what I mean? So this is different, but there you go.
Cages are not going to rattle themselves.
Yeah.
So.
Now, but one of the I think I forgot my question, but I had another one, and I don't know how in detail you're willing to go.
Okay,
but part of the thing that my friend and I were talking about last night is the idea that since I no longer have, for a long time I was a part of a group, and it was very much, here's the bumpers. You don't go too far this way. You don't go too far this way. There's checks and balances put in place where I have to constantly. Do I have selfish? Where the whole system was built to not trust my brain, to not trust my spirit, to not trust my heart, whatever you want to call it, to not trust myself. And now those things are going away. But part of that journey is to explore the dark shit in my head and explore and really go down there and look around. Now, part of what's necessary.
It's so fun to get in there,
and I know I'm capable, but I also don't want to get lost in that shit. So you
sure.
It's good to have a tether, quote unquote, right? So, like as an example, remember The Abyss?
Yes.
Love that movie.
Oh, I love that movie.
So, like, you need a tether before you kind of go over the ridge and start to slowly explore that.
A lifeline.
So what do you feel like, is it too personal to ask what your tether is? Is it an ever-changing thing? Does it change depending on the topic of the darkness? What is it for you?
That's a great question. I sometimes refer to them as reality anchors.
Okay.
I love going deep. But if it feels like it's too overwhelming when I'm in it, when I'm processing my own stuff, or it's too overwhelming to even step into or approach, I will write it down. I'll write it down.
Whatever your reality anchor is.
No, the whatever I was going to step into.
Oh, okay.
So this is a reality anchor. Not pushing myself too far. Because you can actually burn out on this kind of work. It takes a lot of personal energy. It does. It's important to maintain self-care in ordinary reality to be able to do this kind of work. And the better you are at taking care of yourself, or the more often you take care of yourself than not, you have the capacity to be able to go into those deeper places.
Okay.
That's another reality anchor, is self-care.
You've gotten better at that, huh?
I've gotten really good only because I love self-exploration. I love delving into those parts of myself that have been hidden away by me, or forced to be hidden away by someone else, or a group or a community or whatever. I love it because when I am able to bring my current self and the wisdom that I've accrued over the years back to that point in time in space, to that younger version of myself, and be able to have a conversation with my younger self in that way, and let myself know it's okay that you were scared. I understand why we were scared.
Right.
But now I understand better the experience that we were having that made us afraid, and now we don't need to be afraid anymore, and here's why. I can actually have a conversation with my younger self in that way, and that's what depth hypnosis and hypnotherapy and shamanic practice is all about, is getting us to those points in time, in space, where we have those little nuggets of our souls, ourselves, trapped away, and they're still scared, and they're still waiting to be brought back. I love those moments. I do. Right. And in bringing that younger version of myself back on an energetic level, I am literally empowering myself in the present, and therefore strengthening my confidence and my abilities to heal more of myself in the future.
Okay. And so part of it would look like self-care in the reality would look like Fig Newtons, or it would look like
yes,
it would look like
bushels,
right? Lotions and whatever. Like,
sure.
As soon as I walked in, we're in your studio.
Yeah.
As soon as, or whatever you would call it, and as soon as I walked in the first time, I was like, okay, there's something different here. Now, you call it energy, whatever, but I know it is. Blah, blah, blah. But I was like, okay, this is a place where I'm wearing shoes, but it's almost like you take off, you put on like shoe protector. This is like a special zone. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate hearing that.
And I'm sure part of that is a tether for you. Maybe is the comfort of the area of like, I think I want pillows here, and I think I want this, and I think I want, like, you've set your reality zone in that same.
Thank you for noticing. I do genuinely appreciate that. I respect this space. It holds. It gives me the opportunity to rest my weary head and feel safe doing so. Right. But on an energetic level, everything in this space has its place and its intention. I do set sacred space on an energetic level before I see clients, before individuals come over, and I do it for myself before I do any kind of personal growth work. I'm not going to say that there's magic involved, because magic is a big word.
Right.
But magic is just the manipulation. No, I shouldn't even use the term manipulation. It is the conscious choosing of energy formed by intention.
Okay.
So there's a lot of magical intention in this space.
Right.
And I have infused a lot of personal energy into certain objects that hold sacred space. And so it would be really challenging for darker energies to enter this space unless they are part of my healing process, my growth process, my learning process.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I've come in here and I felt like dark before, you know what I mean? But like, not dark, like intention, but like, even with the conversation we were having before, which we won't get into, but even with the conversation before we recorded, I feel that, and I feel better now, but I felt that buzzing doubt and that like embarrassment before we started, and up until maybe 10 minutes ago, I just felt like that. Yeah. And then, but I was conscious of that, and I'm like, maybe I should just let it go, relax, because you don't seem to be that type of person who needs to, punish or whatever.
Nah, that's a waste of personal energy.
But it's like, and maybe this is self-importance, but like, so when someone comes in who's got a lot of that, do you feel vulnerable?
No.
Okay. All right.
No, not at all.
Did you in the past, like when you first started out doing this, did you feel like, all right, this, I don't know if I can handle this? You need the serious exorcist to come in.
So, okay, that's funny that you mentioned that. I actually have fellow practitioners that will send me their clients because they have really powerful negative energies. We're just going to use that word for now. Energetic interferences that they're afraid to deal with, and they don't know how to manage, and so they send them to me. And then we'll do sessions on why those things are there with them and how to release them, and then we do. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. Exorcism is a term to use. I think it's a little dramatic. It's rarely the whole Hollywood-esque version.
Right. What do you mean rarely? We don't need to get into
if you are visually acutive.
Acutive means what?
If you're one of those people that sees things a little bit more than some people do, it's extraordinary what you will see.
Okay.
Yeah. I've seen things.
Right.
I've seen things.
Right.
And there are some energies out there that are actually a little bit more self-aware and know what they're up to. They're rare, but they do happen.
Right.
It's like, I mean, my clients' heads don't physically spin in circles. They don't vomit all over me while they're swearing and doing things with a crucifix.
Have they fucked themselves? Right, that's what
I knew you were going to go there, so I'm just going to cover this real quick.
You're on my podcast. I'm being spiritual, but sometimes...
But on an energetic level and a visual level, I am very much aware of what these things look like, what they're trying to do, and I can energetically, not even energetic, I can literally see what these darker things are doing to the person's energy, and thus their emotional state, and thus their physical state.
I think the biggest fear around that, because I've always been like, when I watch a movie about like serial killers or whatever, like that doesn't really, I don't know, it's a scary movie, it's fun, whatever. It doesn't really mess with me.
Right.
It's the energy stuff or the exorcism stuff that
the supernatural.
Right, the supernatural, which is, goofy and I want to judge myself, but at the same time, I feel like part of the reason why it feels weird to me the most is because of the ultimate fear of getting lost. Not what it can do. Obviously that's bad, what it's taking from you or whatever. But I mean, even with the exploring thing is like the fear of getting lost, losing the tether.
Okay.
Has that happened to people that you know? Or I kind of feel like that's just it can't really happen, especially if you're actually exploring or if you're actually willing to have it removed. If you're willing to do the work, that this power or this energy that's taking from you, it can't really like fucking get you lost, can it? Is it the thing about I would have to sign up for it? To be willing to take that ride into death.
Okay. So, yes, on some level, conscious or unconscious or subconscious, there is some sort of agreement, some sort of contractual agreement with these things that have convinced you that they are good for you. And it's not like you're talking to air or space and you're like, oh, this invisible thing wants to offer me all these things. That sounds great.
Right.
It's on a subconscious level where you don't realize you're agreeing to it because they've probably been manipulating your energy and from behind the scenes and pulling your strings for so long that they have continued to help you feel bad about yourself so long that when they sift their energies in, it feels like you're being supported. It feels like you're not alone. It feels like whatever. And so you agree to have these things kind of enter your energetic field, and which they need to do. Here's the high point of all this. These darker energies don't have anything to source off of except us. Right. We're like these infinite batteries. Our soul is connected to this infinite source of energy. You can call it whatever you want, light or God or whatever. But we do, in fact, have this direct connection, a lifeline to this infinite source of energy. Right. These darker energies that actually have conscious intent, again, rare, but it does happen. They don't have a source of energy. They have to stay in the shadows. They have to manipulate us. They can't just force us to give them our energy with us knowing, because they know that we are more powerful because we have choice. And we have this infinite supply of energy to draw upon to back up that choice and say, fuck no, get the fuck out of my space. That's why these things are so sinister and clever.
Because they're vulnerable.
And sly, because they know that they are finite unless they feed off of us. They are literally just energy parasites, and they have to be clever enough, not smart, but just clever enough to be able to manipulate us into thinking, yeah, I'm not such a great person. Mm-hmm. And then they just keep cycling our personal energy into that thought pattern, and they derail our energy to do so and keep us in that space. It's when we start making conscious choices for ourselves, like, I want to start looking at my darker corners. I want to start looking at my shadow selves. When we start shining a little flashlight in those corners, we see those little glowing eyes in there, and we go, son of a bitch, I've had something tooling my energy for a while. Right. But then with a practitioner of integrity, not just anyone who claims to be a shaman, not anyone who claims to be a hypnotherapist or anything else, you have to know the person, do your research, talk to these individuals and see how you feel. Trust your gut with these individuals. Even do a session or two, see how you feel. You need you need to know that you are safe and in a safe and held and sacred space. The space must be sacred for this work to work. But with the space held and being guided by an individual of integrity, those little dark entities and those old programs and those old habits and those everything else, also just energetic interference. It's all doing the same thing. It's just cycling our personal energy in a constant circular motion where it's not going anywhere or feeding or supporting anything else that's good. It's just feeding that old thought pattern, that old habit. We can change those. You can change those, and it's never too late. Never.
Right.
I have some elder clients who are in their 70s and 80s, and one is almost 90, and they are only now just starting on their path of healing.
Nice.
Yes, and it's fucking beautiful.
Right.
And they are champions at it.
Right.
Champions.
That's why I would kind of feel like, as far as the too late thing, I think the big reason of why The Exorcist was so powerful of a movie, of a terrifying
Great
movie,
documentary.
right, was that she didn't, or maybe we didn't see that part of it or whatever, but like she didn't ask for this to happen. She was just a random girl, an innocent little girl who got taken over, quote unquote.
Right, and that's what and I think that was the scariest part of the movie.
Exactly.
That was the scariest part.
Right.
True.
So I don't really feel like that can happen. I know that's what a fear is.
Sure.
But as far as taken over to such a strong, obviously it's dramatic, it's puking and whatever,
Sure.
but like to such a strong level that it's literally a demon come to life or whatever and goes from one person to the priest and the priest kills him. Like that whole thing, I don't think it can really actually fucking happen.
Okay.
All right, well, go ahead. Shit.
Okay.
I just feel, here's why I think, because I just have too much respect or what, I don't know what it is, but I just kind of feel like I know human power.
Yes.
And I kind of feel like we're just too powerful for it.
I completely agree with that. And
outside of our signing up or whatever it is.
That's why those energies, whether, again, they're just old habits or old patterns or old ways of thinking or old ways that we were taught to think.
Right.
Or they're slightly more aware of themselves. Okay. It all does the same thing. It plugs into where we feel disempowered. They need us to stay disempowered to feed off of our energies.
Right.
And it's a pyramid scheme with these types of energies. There's one somewhere at the top, and he doesn't want to do the work, he just wants to feed. These things they're clever and they're sly and they're devious and they're deceitful, but they're also fucking lazy most of the time. They will find other lesser energies and tell them to go get energy and bring it back to them. And then those are like, okay, because this guy's scary and whatever, I'm going to do what he says. But then he doesn't want to do it either, so he goes and gets another one or a couple little ones. And so it's a pyramid scheme. They build off of each other and feed each other.
Is this do you feel like it's actually? Do you feel like it's?
I don't want
an analogy for what you feel. Like you put this into humanistic characteristics,
sure.
or was that what you were taught? Because you've done years of actual digging and research and teaching.
I'm only using the demon reference as a point of interest because I think everyone kind of agrees. We all agree what a demon is or can be.
Right.
I'm using that as a reference point.
Right.
I do want to point out this very, very carefully. I don't want to support anyone's anxiety or stress or fear that all of a sudden these things are out there and they're trying to harm us.
Right.
Here's the funny point. They've always been here and they've always been trying to harm us in whatever way an individual might perceive them. You might perceive them as demons. You might perceive them as just energy. You might perceive them as just human turmoil and inner conflict.
Addiction.
Yes. Yeah. However you want to perceive it. Again, that infinite source that we're connected to. I reference it in a million different ways because everyone agrees that it's something different. Is it a god? Is it a goddess? Is it a pantheon of deities? Is it just light? Is it just source? Is it just? It doesn't really matter. It is. It simply is, and we are connected to it.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter to put labels on these things. So I don't want to create any more fear around the concept of dark energies being out there.
Right.
It is part of human nature to have these things plugged in and out of us. And I'll tell you why. Because we're not whole yet. We're disempowered on a number of levels, all of us. And we have work to do to get to that more whole state of being. And that's really what sadness and longing really is. It's literally just a longing to be whole. These energies plug in, flip the script on it. These things plugging into us are letting us know where we're out of alignment with our genuine selves, our genuine authenticity. I see them as teachers, not something to fear.
Okay. Do you feel like there's an end game? So, end game. Here's what I mean by that.
Sure.
Do you feel like there's a place, and this is obviously forever and never, it may be never, but like where it's like a wholeness as a people, as a human race, as a whatever, will come to fruition, or that's where we're supposed to be?
I love and hate your questions.
I'm fucking amazing.
Okay, so here, I've learned a lot. Here's some interesting stuff. Take it as you wish. All right. This is something that I have found some truth in, and I also acknowledge other beliefs and truths as also potentially being true. I'm not denying any other truths, because who the fuck do we think we are, thinking we've got the universe figured out? Stop it. Okay. I believe that there are different states of reality and being that are layered on top of us, middle world. There's some just above us. There's some just below us. That doesn't make them good or bad either way. Then there is an upper world where there are benevolent spirits and energies. There is a lower world where there are also benevolent energies. The darker energies are actually hovering around and through middle world where we are. There's a lower vibrational frequency from Earth. Earth is a lower vibrational frequency than a lot of other planets in our system and other systems. This is a great place for learning. This is the school of hard knocks, right, of all schools of hard knocks. This is the place where you go to learn the most about where you are out of alignment with yourself. Above the upper world and below lower world, there are other levels of energies that are at higher frequencies and vibrations than Earth.
Okay.
And there are lots of different places to go on top of that as well.
Okay.
Yep. And a lot of us have been here. If you give any credibility to past lives or karma, reincarnation, and even if you don't, makes for a good story. We've all been here before. We're all coming back here again, very likely. Many of us have probably been doing lifetimes on other planets and other worlds and other dimensions, and we will probably do those again.
Okay.
It's possible that the Big Bang happened in a split second, and we're all experiencing it in slow motion.
Nice.
There's another theory that every single human being will live the life of every other human being to understand all that we are. That's another one. And they're all beautiful, and they all have something to it.
Right.
Yeah. Hard to prove.
Right.
So faith does play a part in it. But I found that placing your faith in something outside of yourself is also disempowering sometimes. Right. Can be. I think placing faith in yourself and interacting with yourself and the world at large with as much grace and dignity and compassion and love is really the only way to get through.
That's why I kind of feel part of the reason, and maybe this is just my ignorance, and I just needed to find the person that would help me get there at some, I think we get teachers or whatever along the way.
Absolutely.
We help each other at the right time.
Whether they are a teacher or not, they have something to teach us. Everyone is a teacher. Everyone is a teacher. And so are we.
You're welcome.
I'm so blessed. This is my teacher, everyone.
Yeah.
Wish me luck.
Music. I do music. Now, so the reason why I think it's really helpful or powerful the way, or just from while we're talking about this, is that you're not violently tied to the dogma where you can't let other people have whatever experience or whatever definition of the energy or whatever it is. Right. You're not tied to the dogma, and that's extremely fucking important. Because I was thinking about like, why would someone be listening to this and be like, oh, no, that's not true. There's a guy in the sky who has a big white beard and put a guy and a girl on the earth and an apple, and they were naked peepees and whatever, you know. Yeah. So like that's
why
all.
Why did they have belly buttons? That's my anyway. I'm not going to go there. I'm not knocking anything.
But you know, I love them
all. Jesus rocked.
Right.
By the way.
So
true story.
You understand what I'm saying? Where like these ideas,
it would be foolish for us to think that we know.
That's what I'm saying.
We don't know enough to be able to say this is fact. Write it in stone. No one else question it. Bullshit. I've had truths in my life that were written in stone as far as I was concerned, and then I met someone and we had a conversation. I went, son of a bitch.
Oh yeah.
That makes sense.
Right.
And there have been times when I smashed those rocks and I rewrote that truth and I just sent it out into the ethers and said, if it comes back, great. And if it changes, great. I don't care. I'm not writing shit in stone anymore.
Right.
No. And a lot of judgment disappears too.
Right.
A lot of expectation disappears, and a lot of attachment to things, physical or otherwise, starts to really soften and melt away over time. Everything that you work on, every little piece, builds upon and starts softening and readying other parts of yourself.
Sometimes when you say things, or when I have these conversations with different people, and I've been building on this, I feel like I knew the answer already. You know what I'm saying? Like
you do know the answer
that's what
already.
I'm fucking saying, dude. God damn it! Like I'm like, Now that's why I said the thing about knowing that humans are. The reason why I say that stuff about knowing that humans are too powerful is because ultimately the reason why that's afraid is because we're powerless over this dark energy, whatever the fuck it is.
Sure.
I don't feel like we goddamn are. I just don't think that that's a thing. I know that that's what we're afraid of, but I just don't think that we're that. You know what I'm saying? To take away the our capacity to choose whether we sign up for that dark energy or whatever it is kind of bullshit. You know what I mean? And it takes away our responsibility. It takes away our need to dig. It takes away our need to look at ourselves and look at others. It takes away the responsibility altogether by saying, "Oh, I'm just at the whim of, you know, I was sometimes in the spiritual group I go to, there's this idea that gets passed around just kind of flippantly. Oh, by the grace of God, I didn't die from that car accident." Bullshit. Unbelievable bullshit. Because the guy who died, the little boy who just died in a car crash right now, has a fucking God too. Right. And if it's the God, quote unquote, why would the God hate that fucking kid and love your stupid ass more? That's horseshit. I'm not saying that that I'm fully signed up for that idea, that I've signed up for every time, you know, that somebody signs up for molestation or whatever. But to think that, and I know that's a deep topic, but like to think that I'm just at the whim of everything, I got mercy, grace feels, or in that definition anyway, feels absolute horseshit.
I agree with that. I think there does need to be a deep level of discernment when placing faith in something outside of yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you're not afraid of reading some spiritual books that you might not get anything out of, you're like, fuck it, all right, I'll give them a read. Oh, something about witches, or something about Jesus, or something about this. You know, you're open to receiving whatever message you might be called to.
I think a lot of people can agree that sometimes you read a book and it was really, really good and you learned something from it. Like there was something that clicks you, like, I really, really like that. And then months or years later, you read that book again and there's something new that you learn. Mm-hmm. I think that's the way with everything in life. I think every life lesson has something to teach us, and I don't think it's just one poignant lesson. I think those lessons in life can teach us many things over years and decades of our life. I think sometimes we look back on an experience, like I was explaining before, like visiting in a shamanic journey. I was visiting my younger self and bringing healing to that.
Right.
But I think people can look back to their past and go, "Oh wow, I'm thinking about what I said or what I did to that person. I can't believe I did that." Even in that moment, that's like standing on that mountain, on that plateau, and turning around and seeing how far you've come.
Right.
I was a complete asshole to that person, you know, and maybe you can really put some time and effort into thinking about how you devalued or disrespected that individual and make amends for it, even if it's just within yourself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think there's lessons everywhere, and I think every lesson has just as much to teach us now as it did before, and still has more to teach us.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm
lessons
I'm
are
down with that.
everywhere. But you need, and not unlike having to choose a doctor that you like or a practitioner that you like, you need to find whatever fits with who you are and what what your needs may be at the time. And later on down the road, you might think, oh, that doctor, I didn't like him before, but now he'd be perfect for the situation that I'm in. Yeah.
That's why I kind of feel weird about atheists in general. It's like, just because you're
God bless them.
When I was an atheist,
so jealous of atheists.
when I was an
Holy
atheist,
shit.
it was really
And
just
cats.
because I was angry. That's all. I felt like Christianity or whatever I had been grown up with, and I felt like, and I agreed. I watched Carlin, and I was like, yeah, this is bullshit. But with that bullshit, with that idea of judgment, rightfully so, of like, I don't like this dogma shit so much, or this punishment God shit. I thought, okay, let's throw the idea of anything outside of human power as this reality knows it. Let's throw it all out the window. And I think that's just, you're just angry. Like, you just, like, be honest. Like, I'm not saying that there's definitely a God or but there's something fucking happening here. And to think that because you're so angry that they wouldn't let gays get married until 2016, to be that fucking angry still over that, come on, dude, get over yourself, man. To me, because some people use you're so distracted by the ugliness of the fucking trees, you don't see the beauty or the reality of the forest. Fuck you, dude.
Sure.
And I don't mean like fuck you, because Benjo, who's a DJ who listens every week, always sends me messages like, "Oh, I hated that guy talking about God."
Sure.
I've had atheists on Benjo. Fucking
I'm jealous of atheists. I think they've got a pretty decent smooth ride because they can just say this is the way I believe things are, and the rest of the stuff isn't.
I don't think living with anger is very smooth at all.
I don't know that they're necessarily all angry. I think maybe some of them are. I think a lot of us are right now, especially.
Or at least that idea being set up in place, immovable, that there's a supernatural anything.
Sure.
That once that was set because of anger or because of disappointment, because of disillusionment, and being unwilling to move that in any direction to believe that maybe meditation or maybe this or maybe, I'm not saying believe in God or believe in anything. I'm saying being willing to be agnostic about maybe there might be something, that immovable piece, even if they're happy in 99% of their world.
Right.
That 1% was set there because of fucking anger or childish emotion of some kind.
Well, yes, I agree with that. Something set it in motion and set it in stone.
Right.
That's unfortunate.
Right.
Yeah. It's harder. Stone is not very malleable.
No.
Except by water, and it takes a very long time.
Yeah.
Or by wind, and it takes a very long time.
Right.
Let me pose this to you. If we on a soul level, here we go. If we on a soul level get to choose the overall lessons that we are going to try to learn in every single lifetime. Does that mean that souls are choosing to be an atheist in a lifetime so as to experience what it is to not believe in any of that stuff?
Sure.
Because in that, there are lessons to learn.
Yeah, there are. I mean, I was an atheist before. I wouldn't change it,
I think I was for a while too, honestly, because
Right.
I grew up Catholic. I was raised Catholic, and I went to Catholic schools. It never felt right to me. I didn't like being told what to do or how to do things at any certain way. I thought the sermons were, apologies, but the sermons were very boring. They were very dull, and everything was monotone, and it was very zombie-like. And that didn't feel
right.
Didn't feel right to me.
Baptist churches are fun.
I probably would have stuck around with that for a little bit longer, if nothing else than just dancing in the aisles and singing. Fuck yes. I think more churches should lighten up in that regard. Yeah.
As far as the strength thing, because when did you realize, or what was it for you that kind of turned the trick of like, I need to trust myself? Was it a teacher? Was it a book? Was like, not that you did from that fucking point on, because we all have self-doubt.
Yes.
When was that
everything
voice,
fluctuates. Yeah.
When did you first hear that voice saying, oh, I'm supposed to look inward? I'm supposed to trust myself.
There were several moments in time that happened. I will give you one example very, very briefly because it was on more of a human level. So I was deep in the rave scene before it was known, and it just became a stupid party machine. I was,
jeans
I didn't wear them, but I'm aware of them. I was deep in the rave scene. But at that time, I genuinely basically hated life. Mm-hmm. I didn't know who I was, where I was going, what I was doing. There was a lot of anger and frustration just churning through me. And I didn't believe that human beings deserved to live on the planet. Mm-hmm. You're fucking shit up. Earth was fine for billions of years without us, and now here you are, you stupid little scumbags running around.
Sure.
Fucking shit up. Fuck all. My friends dragged me to this dance party thing. I went to a couple. Wow. The energy was like what it was when I was a kid. I started recognizing energies again. It started to flow back. The sense of community, the sense of love and spirit and hugging everybody. I wasn't a hugger. I was never a hugger. I didn't hug. I still wasn't hugging. But the energy started reminding me of what it was like to be in tune with things more. I started getting really into the rave scene. I really loved it. And here was one of those moments. I'm just kind of like moving through the crowd, like just sardines crowd, lights flashing, everybody's dancing, everybody's happy, everyone's smiling, mostly on drugs, smiling, whatever. Some dude shoulders into me, walks, I didn't see him, I had my head turned, and he walks right into me, shoulders into me, and I spin around and I'm ready to go. When I grew up, I got into a lot of fights, not because of the anger that I had within me. That was more turning into anger and sadness within me. Anger turned inward as sadness. True story. But a lot of my friends were gang related. And so there was just trouble that happened from time to time. And I was going to defend my friends. So I got into a lot of fights when I was a kid.
The Crips, right?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
And
because you're not black. That's why it's funny.
In the area that I grew up in the city, it was a little rough. And so if you stare into someone's eye, I grew up in the city. You stare into someone's eyes more than 2.3 seconds, you're looking for trouble.
Right.
This guy's shoulders right into me. So I spin around and I'm ready to throw down. And this guy spins around and he's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And I'm all, "You lying sack of shit," right? So manipulative, right? Like drop my guard. That's what he's trying to do so he can get the first shot in. He's like, "Oh my God, dude, I'm so sorry." Like, blah, blah, blah. And he's talking to me and I'm like, I'm just ready for the swing. I'm ready for that first swing. And he's like, "Oh, are you having a good time?" And I'm like, "Huh?" And he's like, "Dude, I am so sorry." And he comes at me and he gives me a hug. This guy's hugging me. A dude, first of all, dude's hugging me and a stranger's hugging me in a strange place, surrounded by strangers, not loving life. And this guy's hugging me. And I thought, what the hell is going on? He was so genuine. He was so kind. He was so apologetic. He was so compassionate and in the moment of apologizing for his action. He wasn't angry. He didn't throw a punch. I didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. I didn't even hug him back. Mm. But then he said, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, and I thought, okay, this is the turnaround. And then we just started chatting about the thing. And I said, "Yeah, this is like my third rave or whatever." He's like, "Oh my God, dude. All right, come with me. Let me introduce you to some of my friends and let me do this and let me do that. And do you need water and all this stuff?" And I'm like, I can't believe this stranger is being so fucking kind. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I knew that level of kindness. Some friends, some close friends and family members to whatever degree they were all capable of.
Right.
But within the energy of that semblance of community, and leave your fucking ego at the door, the rave scene made me see things differently. And that was one of several opportunities in life. And almost every single rave that I went to, we would get this, and this is one of those synchronicities that happen in life. Like, you're thinking about someone, and then a couple days later or whatever, all of a sudden you get a call from someone you haven't spoken to in years, and it was the person you were just thinking about, and you're just like, "Oh my God, I was just thinking about you the other day." Do you know what I mean? I'm sure you guys can relate to that. This guy and I literally physically bumped into each other like the first time that we did at every single rave that we were at the same time. We didn't communicate. I didn't know him. He didn't know me. We weren't planning to be at the same rave. But when I say we literally bumped into each other, we physically bumped into each other and turned around, and there we were again. It kept happening. It probably happened about 12 times, 12 different raves. The only rave I ever saw him at, we physically bumped into each other, and we gave each other hugs. I started giving him a hug. I started initiating the hug. I started to learn how to hug. They're nice. They're really nice. Yeah. But it was that experience and that sense of community and coming together and celebrating and supporting unity in that mindset, and however they wanted to label it, was a beautiful experience to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the rave scene changed my life. It changed my life. It changed my mindset. It changed the hopes and dreams that I didn't really have.
Right.
And fears and anxiety and stress started to just melt away because so as to make room for these new thoughts and ideas.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was asking about, so I'm looking for new experiences and I'm open to new stuff. And I was hanging out with some people the other day, and they're all, hippies, but not in a bad way. Just, just a lot of like,
killing me
like a lot of essential oil. And so they're passing around kind of a tarot deck and just like kind of, tarot cards. Now, my initial thought was, fuck that, and then we should start wrapping up in a second. But like my initial thought has been not just fuck that because of hippie stuff, but now that I've been more plugged into energies and therapy and all that stuff, I'm like, I don't want to read it because I'm afraid of what it'll say.
Sure.
Like, what if I pull a card and it's like, you piece of shit, die, or something like that. And I was like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it. I was just pulling up one card, a circular card out of a thing. Don't smile knowingly.
I don't
you
know.
Motherfucker.
This is exciting. This is the first time I've heard this.
All right. So I go, I'm like, okay. She's like, well, first you have to ask the card or ask the deck a question. I was like, okay. All right. So I was like, all right, God. I was unsure which question. And I was like, you know what? Okay, this would be my question. What should I look for in New York? What should I look for? What should I look for in New York?
That is a wide-ranged question, but
right.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
I pull a card, and it's the strength card upside down.
Okay.
Now, you may already know this, but I'm going to share this with everybody
Please do.
We read, okay, what the hell does that mean? Strength card means trusting your desires, your passions, your guidance, trusting yourself, confidence. Mm-hmm. And the upside down means not. Mm-hmm. Not trusting yourself, not trusting your desire, or your passions, or your strength, or yourself. Mm-hmm. And so now it's like, okay, I need to look for that going forward. Is like trusting myself. I was having a long conversation with my friend yesterday about all this stuff, and one of the things that came up, I realized, is that I'm 33 now. I've been looking for I need to parent myself. I'm my own goddamn parent now. Mm-hmm. Now it's been that way, but I haven't really looked.
Great personal responsibility. It's
and
true. We have to
what that now that I realize, that's why I looked for a guru. That's why I looked for a final answer. I want that Gandalf fucking, that you shall not pass to all my character defects. You know what I mean? I want somebody to tell me. I mean, as dominant as I am sexually, I want somebody to like. I want a dude to be like the one guide person, and nobody's. All of my a number of my heroes, people who I love to death, who I would talk to and trust their guidance on 50 to 60% of what they say. I'm starting to like that 40% is starting to get louder. Not louder in a bad way, like, oh, no, I can't trust anybody. But, like, I was hanging out with some friends the other day who I look up to and I trust as my peers and, like, people who have been sober a lot longer and I'm whatever. And I'm picking their brain about some stuff and I'm just like, I don't really agree with what they just said. Like, oh, man. Like, all of my quote-unquote heroes, I'm starting to realize I don't get to have any in the same way that I have held them. In the same way that I've been looking for one to be like, this is it. And so over and over, this message I keep getting is self-acceptance, self-love, and trusting myself, which is ultimately also part of that whole puzzle piece, is not bending to the will of what, not even what people think, but what I think people think. being so wrapped up in the getting validation. The validation needs to come from myself. And that's interesting that I would pull a fucking tarot card and it says exactly that. Now, maybe that's just because, you know, all of them say strength or whatever, or this, you know, maybe they're not that specific. But you understand what I'm saying? Like, I know you know, but I'm just saying.
I do. I think that's a great card to pull. I think any card you pull in a tarot deck, and you're doing this with someone, an individual of integrity that knows what they're doing and knows how to hold sacred space. I cannot say that enough times.
Oh, we were just at a little party function.
I hear that, and it's super fun and cute. But if you're serious about this kind of work, dabble wherever you need to. Find what tools you like, what tools work for you, what tools don't work for you now. That's fine. Find an individual. But the deeper, more rewarding work is held in that sacred space.
But I'm also not afraid of getting messages from fucking, fortune cookies. Like, if I'm open to the message and I ask for the message, I'll get it.
Oh, yeah. Messages are everywhere. Right. Everywhere, if you just know how to listen and notice. I also think that the strength card upside down could also represent noticing where you are not in those places of confidence and trusting yourself. Noticing the triggers that you have when you're in a conversation with someone or when an event happens, and you don't feel good about yourself, or you're not feeling confident or not. That's also another way to build confidence is coming to terms with who you are by realizing what you're not.
Right.
And
taking a look at that, at my thinking the way it currently sits. Not judgment, not trying to fight it, but stepping back objectively and going, oh, look at me, I'm beating the shit out of myself right now. Isn't that interesting?
Noticing how you feel. And if you feel unsettled in any way or on any level, pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to how it's making you feel and where in your body that is happening. That's actually something else to work on deeper levels. But noticing who is saying it, not to blame, but how are they saying it? How is that making you feel? And what's the experience that's going on? And just pay attention. You don't need to react. You don't need to respond to it. Just pay attention to the triggers. Eventually, you will start noticing the triggers before you get triggered, and that's a process. And it's beautiful.
And I'm really interested to, I think part of that importance with all this is that I do feel so up in the air. You know, now obviously the album release and the album release party, but with this giant move across the country, I'm looking for fucking tethers. You know what I mean?
And when I can't find them, right now.
I want cigarettes and food. You know what I mean? Like, I just want, and so letting go of those and being like, okay, let me look at the fact that I cannot trust, quote unquote, trust these certain tethers that I would normally need somebody to just hold up a sign that says, yes, you're going the right direction, or yes, you should make a right, or do this or focus on this. Having to trust my fucking self is bullshit. I'm just saying, it's great and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But fuck.
It is bullshit. Do you know how many times I fucking get tired of it? I am so tired of looking and searching and digging deeper, but
I don't really have a choice. I already made my decision.
Every time I do, I get a little bit closer to feeling better.
Right.
And then I can start to create that feeling better within myself when things go awry in the real world.
And we'll wrap up with this. I think I do, whether it's under the label of karma or whatever. I know, and I think I've said this to you before. I know I signed up for this. I know I may be in the thick of it now going, but I don't fucking wanna. Yeah. I know in my fucking bones, I was like, all right, fine. All right, I'll stay sober and I'll do therapy. Okay, fine. I'll do I'll be whatever my life is. I'll be willing to be that big giant artist and therefore work on vulnerability and therefore trust myself. I know that I'm doing all this stuff because I signed up for it. I know I didn't fucking sign up to be the quote unquote simple guy who's just doing construction, going home, no judgments. But I know that I signed up for this big fucking life.
Clearly.
And it's like,
clearly you did.
Fine, whatever.
and good for you for doing that. Yeah. The most important thing that I want to point out that you just said is your willingness. Your willingness to look at those things. Your willingness to go there if it shows up. Mm-hmm. You don't have to hit it perfect every single time. There is no perfect in any of this. Right. Everything is a lesson. Everything has varying degrees and magnitudes of lessonry. Take what you can, take what you will, take what you can handle. But trust me, when the lessons come to you, it's because you can handle them. You're ready to receive them. And if you can do it with as little judgment and expectation, the two worst things we've ever done to ourselves as human beings, if you can do a little less judgment every single time, a little less expectation every single time, you will see even more rewards from those lessons and more rewards down the road from those same lessons. And it's just going to open up opportunities to even more than that.
Awesome.
Right. Good luck to us all.
Yeah. Where can people find your...
Right. I am www.standingground.biz. That is the name of my business, my private practice. I am a depth hypnosis practitioner. I'm a certified hypnotherapist. I am a certified energy medicine practitioner. I am a certified shamanic practitioner and a spiritual counselor. And I am here to help. I don't waste my time with judgment. I don't waste my time with expectations. Your healing process is your own. I am here to hold that space, that sacred space, to help you learn how to relearn the tools of self-empowerment that are already within you. I'm here to help you help yourself. And I fucking love doing it. I do. It is a goddamn joy and a pleasure to be of service to others. Standingground.biz. It's an older website. I'm actually in the process of designing a new website. I'm very excited about it. I'm retooling my business model to be more expansive and to be able to take in more people. I try and keep my prices as low as possible so that people can come in more often. I do what I can as best as I can. A lot of people charge 10 times more than what I charge. I try to keep it as easy, as easy as possible. If you are in the performing arts, or if you support the performing arts in any way, if you're a musician, if you're a singer-songwriter, if you're a dancer, if you're a fire spinner, eater, juggler, if you are in the performing arts in any way, shape, or form, if you're a patron of the performing arts, if you support the performing arts on a regular basis, if you are genuinely active in that regard, I will give you a huge discount on every single session. And if you refer people to me and they pay for their session, I will give you discounts on your next session as well. I want to help.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And if people maybe wanted to go to the website, or can they email you, or
yes,
is there a business
I
email?
am at David Walsh, WALSH, .standingground@gmail.com. I'm also standingground.biz on Facebook. I post little wizened quotes and whatnot almost every single day. And I will be expanding the social media thing soon. But yes, you can find my information, contact information on Facebook, the website. I'm here. I work out of San Francisco, but I do phone sessions as well. Generally, I do the very first session in person because that's the shamanic journey, which is one of my favorite things to do. And I can introduce you. I will guide you to a place within you where you will be able to meet your higher self in a way that you may never have experienced before, or will re-experience in a very new way. And then after that, if it's not good for you to come into San Francisco, one-on-one sessions are the best. I feel like I get the most out of it for the client's sake. But I also do phone sessions, and give me a call.
Awesome.
I'm here. Love it. Peter.
Yes, sir.
You're amazing.
You are too.
You're amazing. You're an amazing human being. I love that we are friends. You are such a remarkable talent. Very impressed. Top 10 favorite artists.
Thank you, sir.
Right there. And thank you again for having me on the show.
Yeah.
You're a dick for leaving.
I know.
Yeah.
I love you.
Whatever.
So go download my album. Peter
so
Feliciano.
Good. I was playing it when you showed up.
Yeah. And what else? Spotify, iTunes. You can support this podcast at patreon.com/conservatish. You can also just Venmo me, Peter-Feliciano. I don't give a fuck. I'm shameless. I don't give a shit. Also Instagram is Peter_Feliciano, Feliciano. And I'm going to be updating you guys not just with all these fun little episodes. Jeffersonburg is also coming up next.
Nice.
And then I'm going to be updating you guys with... Oh, I love that kid. I'm going to updating you guys with journeys on YouTube and also on Instagram and Facebook about where I'm going and what I'm doing across the country. So
I'm so excited for your journey.
Stay excited. And also, if you know people in New York who like bald musicians, who sometimes do restaurant jobs, feel free to, I've been hooked up with a ton of fucking people, but I'm always willing to see what other things come up. So, yeah, I love you all very much. Thank you. And I really appreciate you coming on the show again.
I appreciate
I love you to
too.
death.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.